Hey everybody, this is Pastor Andrew and I'm here for our midweek message in our series Life with Luke. As many of you know, Westminster is traveling through a series where we're slowly going through the entire Gospel of Luke and just studying all that Jesus says to us, all that he does for us, and learning a lot from that. This past Sunday, we were actually focused on an iconic teaching of Jesus, something where he tells us to love our enemies. And most of you would agree with that statement. In fact, many people who don't even believe in Christianity get behind this teaching of Jesus, that we should love our enemies. But as we talked about this past Sunday, and if you want to go check that out in full, go listen to our last service online. But as we talked about just in brief, it's harder to love our enemies than we think it is. Sometimes it's easy to hear this teaching from Jesus, but it feels impossible to do. And Jesus points out to us that that's often because of our gut reaction, often because of the ways that we respond in the heat of the moment. And so behind me here, I've actually got a little bit of the smoke that's coming up from one of the Rapid City fire zones right now. And it was interesting as I was listening to officials talk about this fire and all that they were doing to respond to it. They've done an amazing job of getting this thing under control. But one of the things as it was ripping through that was causing the officials and the fire teams problems is that as they dug into it, they couldn't see through the smoke. The smoke was super heavy and they couldn't quite tell where the fire was, where the hot spots were. And they had to wait actually on a plane from Colorado to come. And this is pretty fascinating, but this plane in Colorado was able to come here and fly overhead, and they could fly at super high altitude and even from way up in the sky, pinpoint exactly where every flame was. It could pick up something as small as a cigarette butt. It could see through the smoke. I think what Jesus was saying to us when he said, love your enemies and try to tame your gut response when you do that, is that sometimes our gut response, the anger we feel, the hatred we feel toward our enemy, will often be an all-consuming smoke, a fog over our lives that won't allow us to see the proper response to our enemy and how to love them well. So Jesus' first thing to us was to say, do not let your gut response reign over you when dealing with your enemies. And he challenges us to go even a step further than that. He challenges us to actually reach out and take an active step where we are loving those enemies as ourselves. You'll notice the golden rule here, and it is placed in the positive context. It's not a negative statement. It says go and love your neighbor as yourself. It doesn't say don't do to your neighbor what you wouldn't want them to do to you. It says go and love them as yourself. So after we've removed the fog, after we've gotten past our gut response, we can think about, how do we actively go and pursue this person with the love that God has shown us? So church and friends, anyone watching this week, my challenge to you as we think about loving our enemies is to think about the people in your life that you struggle to get along with. Tame that gut response. Let it set aside and ask Jesus to help you to see past the things that you might initially want to do in response to the ways that your enemies or people who you don't get along with might treat you. And then take that opportunity to go even a step further. Take Jesus's challenge. Go and love them as yourself. So church, that's our challenge for us this week. Let's continue in prayer for this fire and for the people that are attacking it. The fire teams have done an amazing job, and let's just keep praying for our city that we can keep on top of this and that the families who've been evacuated could return home soon and safely. Love you all. We'll see you next Sunday, Easter Sunday at Westminster Church.